This is gonna be, what is this? Day six? Day six or seven. Now, we previously spoke about support, we spoke about resistances, we spoke about high highs, higher lows. Now, this video is gonna be specifically covering entries, right? So obviously you may know your support, you may not understand your resistance as well. I'm gonna break down a few trades which I would have taken throughout the past 2 weeks. Just so you guys can understand and have a much better understanding of how I go ahead and take trades. You're gonna see I'm kinda gonna break down my thought process as well as I am going into some of these trades throughout the past week, and just explain why I took certain trades in chart and where my entries came from, why my entries would have came from there as well. So let's jump into the first example. This would have been a trade last week. At a point in the time, this was all I could have seen, right? I could have seen price stop around this area once, price stop around this area again, and it stopped here again, right? So I'm waiting for another retest into this zone. Also, I only trade in New York session, right? So New York session is essentially 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Wall Street, you're gonna get most of your volume from 9:30 a.m., right? So I was looking for an entry just before 9:30 a.m. open. Now we had a good support here, here farming, here farming. This was basically, what was this? This was like 9 p.m. So I was waiting for the next day. And then you can run this would have been 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., right? So I'm just waiting to take an entry here. So I'm just going to buy off the support because you can see this was a strong level, which we're not breaking, right? So don't overcomplicate it. Don't say, you know what, don't be like, it's going down, so you're scared to enter. Listen, if the support is holding, just take the trade. You're not going to win every single trade, but if you trust the process, you're going to win the trades. So 8 o'clock came in. I took the trade on the 9 o'clock candle. So I would take the trade on this candle, 9 o'clock open. 9:30, we push all the way up. Right? If I move this just a bit, you will see this one candle. How do I do this? Okay. So you would have seen this one candle actually hit my TP, right? This would have been TP. This was actually my TP. It actually went past it in chart. But this one candle went all the way up and hit TP. That was like in one, like couple minutes, to be honest. You know, I think this was a 1 to 7, so my stop loss was like right around this wick, right here, literally like right under this wick, 1 to 5, and if you had SPY, we went to like a 1 to 7 or so. Why did they target this area? Because this was our previous high, right? This could have become, previous highs can become a resistance. So remember, you're going to take your buy from your support and you're going to take it to the resistance. Price had previously stopped here. That is why I took the trade from here to here. Obviously, we did go higher, right? We did go higher, but that's where I essentially got the trade. I got the trade around here in short. Remember, trading sessions, you're not going to enter this trade over here because this is in Tokyo session. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, also known as US 30. So you only trade this in New York session. You also only trade NAS in US session. And you also only trade the S&P 500 or US 500 in the New York session. I'm also going to make a video on sessions as well because sessions are very important, right? But this was one trade I took last week. We've made money taking the buy from this support up until this resistance. You just identify a strong area of support and you're going to take a buy. It does not have to touch like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't have to take 7 times to you to go ahead and enter. It can touch 3 times, and once it is in session, you just go ahead and enter the trade, right? I also touched this trade as well. This was like a 1 to I believe this one would have been a 1 to 10, right? By the way, if you guys want to learn how to trade, like, and also take the trades which I am taking, you can just join my free WhatsApp group. I'm going to link it in the comment section, and just send me a message directly. I'm going to be the person whose name is owner. Just send me a message directly. Also, just drop my WhatsApp number in the description, because I do call these trades live as well, in short. So this is one trade here. Another trade would have been this one here. So we waited for a trade to come down here. So we had one trade here which actually hit our stop loss. Let me just remove this. This is our first trade. And then the following day, we waited for our price to come back and touch our support, which it did, right? It did touch our support. Let me just adjust these lines as well. This is what I was betting on. We had a support here. So we had one entry which was here. And my stop loss was like around here or so. Alright. And my goal is to take it there. Unfortunately, we lost that trade. Let me just get the... Good. So unfortunately, we lost that trade. However, I did take another trade around basically this area here. Why? Because if you look at this wick, you can see it's kind of like a strong area around here. So I did take a buy down here. In short, it was not the entry. So our first entry came from here. Our second entry, yes, this would have been our entry. This was my stop loss. I got stopped out. And this was my second entry. By the way, if you guys want proof of these entries as well, just like I said, just send me a message on WhatsApp, and I can show you guys, that I actually did take these trades. I did call these trades in one of my group chats as well. So this was the stop loss. Just by inch, we did not hit that stop loss. If I can, I'll probably insert a screenshot. Probably won't, but yes. So initially, for this trade, I'd have been targeting this zone, and this is actually where I got out of the trade. It went to like a 1 to 10. It went all the way up to like a 1 to 10 or so. In short, really high, but I got the trade personally around here, because I'm just taking the trade from this support area to this previous high. This would have been the previous high at that point in time. We're not going to look at all of that over here. We're just looking at this right here, right? So we took this trade. What happened? What was my thought process, right? We took this trade, price rejected, price pushed up. So we tapped the zone, and then we pushed up. Unfortunately, price then came down, and they hit our stop loss, right? They hit our stop loss. However, I did say, you know what? This could have been potentially another strong zone. If we just bring this around here, you will see this was a previous resistance, right? This was a previous resistance, which could have turned into a support, right? So we took a buy from here. If I zoom in as well, you will see like the trade, like just like it almost touched our stop loss, but it really didn't, But we took the trade from here. This was a previous resistance zone, so we entered the trade here. Stop loss under basically the support, a very, very small stop loss, and we won that trade as well. So that would have been one trade we won, and this trade would be another one which we did win as well. Like I said, this video is just going over some entries so you guys can have a better understanding of how I do go ahead and take my trades and why I would enter certain trades. In short, if it doesn't make sense to you as to why I took the second entry, it's basically because we had a previous resistance here, and sometimes our resistance does turn into a support. I'll repeat this one more time. We had a previous resistance around this area, which we broke, and sometimes a previous resistance does turn into a support. So I was hoping it would turn to support, which is why I took the buy here and I put my stop loss under there. If you guys need a one-on-one session in regards to, where to put your stop loss, so on and so forth, just go ahead and text me on WhatsApp and we can book a one-on-one session. All right. Now let's move on to NAS. I don't think I took any more trades on US 30, to be honest. It was very uncertain. I wasn't sure whether we were going into a I wasn't sure whether we were going to continue our uptrend or whether we were going into a downtrend. We did end up making a downtrend as the market is currently breaking higher lows. Let's go into NAS 100 entries. Probably did have a few more up here. So this is UK 100, right? So this would have been a trade I took today. It really started on the 5 minute, to be honest. You know, what I could have saw was like this at this point in time. Like you can see this area here. We touch here, we push down, we touch here, we push down. This area is where we're touching, pushing down, touching, pushing down. I was like, okay, all right, let me just remove this for now. What I was saying is like, okay, price is touching this zone and it's not breaking this zone. We touch this zone maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was like, you know what? Let me just take a trade. We touched this zone 5 times. We could not break that zone for nothing. So I just went ahead and entered that trade because I knew that zone had a strong level of sellers, right? So I entered this trade. Just to bring this back as well. My stop loss would have been essentially above this area. Why is my stop loss up here? And just bring this across. Why is my stop loss above this area, right? Because we had another area of like a resistance here. So what I was expecting is, okay, if we hit stop loss here, maybe I can re-enter the trade up here as well. All right. But my stop loss is basically up here because this was a resistance. But let's say we did break this resistance. We will have to break this resistance here as well to hit my stop loss. As you guys can see, that trade would have played out as well. If you go to the 15-minute time frame as well, we also couldn't break the zone on the 15-minute, right? So it's like we're touching, push down, we touch, push down, touch, push down, and I entered around here in chart and then trade, push down. All right. So that was that trade, a nice resistance, which was, I think you guys understand at this point in time, like price just decided, it doesn't want to break this area. We're touching, we're going down, we're touching, we are going back down, we're touching, we're going back down. Like price, like buyers has at this point in time here, at this point in time, buyers have given up trying to go up higher because every time they try to push it higher, sellers push them down. Even over here, they try to go up, sellers push them down. Sellers push them back down. They try over here again, sellers keep pushing them back down. So buyers gave up, pushing price up and call in 5 minutes. Okay. So buyers basically just gave up, pushing price up. Sellers took control at this resistance and push price down. All right. I want to kind of make these videos longer as well, trying to really explain to you guys, try to really, get through to you guys on like why I'm taking certain trades because it really is simple. You just find a support, find a resistance, find an area which price does not want to break, and you're going to take sells from that area if it's a resistance, or you're going to take buys from that area. But that is a trade I took on UK 100 today. And also took a trade, was it on, I think it's NAS, took a trade on NAS today as well. Took some other trades, but these are the trades which I can remember. Alright. So I also took this trade here. This would have been on the 15-minute time frame. Same scenario. Let me just remove these lines so these do not confuse you all. Same scenario as the previous. Price came up here, pushed down. Price came up here, pushed down. Came up here, pushed down. Buyers gave up and we went down. So what do we expect? We expect this to happen again. Price came up here, pushed down, came up, pushed down. came up, pushed down. I saw the trade around here is like, buyers really do not want to like break this area. I took the trade. I think my entry was actually around here. Had a kind of a terrible entry, to be honest. I entered the trade here, and then we just dump, and just hit TP. I could have also just held this trade, as you can see down here as well. I did choose to also just close it earlier because today's market session was just really slow. It's just really slow due to all the stuff in Iran. There's financial earnings. As you become more familiar with trading, you're going to learn about earnings and how the economy is affected by wars and so on. So I just decided to just, take my profits here. A nice, 1 to 2, well, 1 to 3 trade. Not too bad, not too bad. But those were my main entries. I just want to highlight these three. Obviously, I did take maybe 3 or 4 more trades I did take, but these are the ones I can remember clearly. Um, you guys have any questions, definitely just go ahead and reach out to me on WhatsApp. Quick recap, this would have been a resistance trade. Price was not breaking this area. It looks like it broke this area on the 15-minute, but let's switch to the 30-minute. Okay, actually, let's go to the 1 hour. And you're going to see price actually did not break this area. The wick went up, but it didn't close above this area. So that was my analysis for NAS 100. That trade at a resistance. Obviously, the trend is bearish. We're going down. As you can see, lower high going down, going down. So we took sells because it's a downtrend. Same case with UK 100. We're in a downtrend, as you guys can see clearly. Let me go to 4 hour. You guys can see we're going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. Came up, back up, going down. So we took sells at resistance because the trend is bearish. Another thing as well, only take trades when you trade support and resistance. If it is a downtrend, only look to trade resistance zones. If you're in an uptrend, which we were previously in an uptrend in US 30, back over here, you guys can see if I zoom out a bit more, let's go to 4 hour. When I took these buys, we were previously in an uptrend. As you can see, we were just buying, we were just going up, going up, going up, going up. We eventually fell, but we were just going up. So that's why I took those buys. These trades have been last week. Just buying at the support. Remember, if we're in an uptrend, only look to take buys off a support. Do not try to trade a resistance when we are in a uptrend. Okay. If you guys need to take notes, please take notes on that. Only take buys, only trade supports in a uptrend, only trade resistances in a downtrend. If you want to have a higher win rate, that is what you should do, right? Don't let these lines confuse you. These are previous lines and so on, but these are really just support lines and my take profits in short. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, if there's anything you guys do not understand, please go ahead and just reach out to me via WhatsApp. You can also join my free WhatsApp group in the description if you guys want access to free signals, if you guys want access to free Zoom calls where we do live streams, we do trading on Sunday nights, we do trading on Wednesday nights as well. We also do trading every single morning for those early birds. That's basically it for, I think this is part 7 of the course, just breaking down a couple of entries and where I would also exit as well. Do enjoy the rest of y'all day and stay safe.